All right, hello everyone and welcome to today's LinkPointers webinar. My name is Jill and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, I'd like to cover a few brief housekeeping notes. All attendees are muted and placed in listen-only mode for the duration of the webinar. In the GoToWebinar viewer, you can make our presentation full screen for easy viewing. You can feel free to submit any questions you have for our speaker today by using the questions section in the GoToWebinar panel. This webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent out to everybody later today. For those of you who may be new to LinkPoint 360, we have been the leading provider of email to CRM integration for over 16 years, dedicated to enhancing productivity and increasing CRM adoption. We bring together Microsoft Outlook and IBM Notes with either Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, or Enforce CRM. We have over 90,000 customers worldwide and continue to stand out with innovative productivity solutions, standardized integration with other Salesforce applications, and full support for IMAP, POP3, and Citrix or Terminal Services environments. Our LinkPoint Connect product brings CRM data inside the email application, making it easier for users to interact with and send data to the CRM without leaving their email. And in addition to view, record, create, and sync functionality, our customers leverage flexible control over how their data is managed and are able to interact with CRM custom objects. For today's webinar, we're particularly excited as we kick off the Spring 17 release of LinkPoint Connect. We'll be taking a look at the new release features including Smart Forms, Email Recorded Indicator, Link to Salesforce Enhancements, Follow-up Task Assignment, LinkPoint Tracker updates, and side panel configuration enhancements. Before we dive into today's content, I'd like to share a few notes about LinkPoint Connect software upgrades. Products and services provided by LinkPoint 360 are automatically updated by default. In most cases, end users are able to receive these auto updates. Some companies may have auto updates disabled by default in order to manually manage upgrades at the discretion of your internal IT team. You can check your update settings by navigating to LinkPoint Assist and confirming that the Automatically Install Update setting is selected. If this option is not selected, or you're not able to access the update settings, please contact your system administrator. LinkPoint Connect updates are released to customers as part of a phased rollout, which began earlier this week. If you have questions about when your license will be upgraded, please reach out to your account executive. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Jeff Esco is the Global Sales Manager here at LinkPoint 360. I'll go ahead and switch the controls over to Jeff now and let him share the details of the Spring 17 release. Jeff?
Jill, thanks, and thank you, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, or let me talk to you, right? Let me show you my screen here. It sounds a little corny. I am really excited about the spring release. Number one, we put a bunch of very good stuff in here. It's not just a onesie or twosie. And more importantly, we kept up with our mantra, if you will. LinkPoint is designed to make a person more efficient and more productive. And we've built the tool that way. And when we add features to it, we don't do it simply because there was a schedule there or simply because it's a nice idea to change a font today. But what other functionality can we put into this tool that'll make an end user more efficient and more productive? And as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that the first thing I'm going to show you is more cosmetic. But other than that, the other things I show you will make you more efficient, more productive. And I don't know how well a boxing reference will go over with this audience, but I've kind of structured today's webinar in the fashion of a boxing card. And what I mean by that is I'm going to start out with something very simple, very basic. And as we go through the list, I think the enhancements you see will be more exciting, and the next one more exciting. By the time we get to the main event, I'd like to think that you'll be up out of your chair. I can't see you, so I'm just going to assume that's what you guys are doing. So let me do like I said and start with something very simple that I think you might appreciate here. When it comes to the side panel in your Outlook, there are people that sometimes ask for the opportunity to be able to close it up. And it could be because, well, at the moment it's taking up real estate that I need for something else, my calendar, my preview pane, whatever. Sometimes people close it because in their specific line of work, they're not using it all but once in a while. So in the past, the rule would be there'd be an X that you'd click and the window would shut, and then you'd have to go back into the configuration box to reopen it when you wanted it again. So the first thing that we've done for you guys today is we've changed all the way upper right, as far as upper right as you can go. This little arrow here is going to let you, with a click, minimize the side panel to almost nothing, and another click, reopen it. So you don't have to go anywhere else to reopen it. You don't have to go back into your Outlook ribbon or into the configure box. Just a click to open or close it. All right. Also, in vein of things that happen in the side panel, you'll remember, you get an email from somebody, side panel populates, and you're given all kinds of information here. For this type of conversation you and I are having today, I can't go through all the side panel functionality with you. We'll do that together in a separate conversation. But you'll remember, if you've used LinkPoint before, there's a series of icons. And in the past, they've always been static, maybe depending on the size of your screen or what have you. But now you can go up into your configure box for side panel. And there is the ability, let me highlight it here, to change the icon size. Maybe you forgot your glasses today, or maybe you're blessed with super good vision and you don't need them the size they are, but just for fun, I'm going to change this from small to large, and I'll click apply. And you'll notice right here at the bottom of the box, it's making my changes, right? And here, now the fonts are considerably larger. I mean, in fairness, we can only make them so much larger that they fit in the side panel, but that's how you can change the icon size. So as far as side panel is concerned, how can we easily open and close that side panel? How can we change the fonts? Again, that was just the prelim fight. That was just the opening round. All right. Number two is, you'll recall that LinkPoint is used for recording emails back into your Salesforce. And we've always tried to do a good job for you when these emails land in your activity history to preface it with the word email. So when you do your activity reports, you'll know this is an email versus maybe somebody put in a call or what have you. I'm going to use the shortcut button to go over to Glenn's record. And what you'll notice is, let's go down to activity history. We now added in these icons, these indicators. They look like envelopes with arrows. Let's draw a little attention to them. These indicators are telling you if this is an inbound email versus an outgoing email. So if you see an envelope with an arrow pointing up, I've recorded an outbound email, an email that I sent. If you see an envelope with the arrow pointing down, this is an inbound email. I recorded an email that I've received. We've been asked for that in the past. How can I tell? You might recall our edit function. If you don't use the edit function, get in touch with me offline. It's so powerful when it comes to recording emails. But now, instead of having to go up into the edit function and type in outbound, inbound, something like this, now you have those indicators there to show you inbound versus outbound. Okay, so that's some good warm-up stuff, right? So let's step our game up a little bit. You may not know or remember that LinkPoint can give you the ability to track emails. Did my email get opened? Not only can I record the email into Salesforce, but I want to know if someone opened it, right? So what we've done is, let's go back in the configure box. First of all, if you go into the configure box and go to tracker, that's where you enable it. Yes, I want to track my emails. And again, because of time constraints, I can't go through with you all the mechanics of tracking. Jill or myself can send you information if you didn't know we did tracking and you'd like to know more. But what we wanted to also do, and that I do want to show you, is we've enhanced the reporting on it. Right? First of all, it used to be that you had to go down into the icon tray and find the icon for the tracker. You no longer have to do that. The reporting is here in the configure box. We're trying to keep as much stuff in the configure box as we can. Right here, I'm highlighting something that says Open LinkPoint Tracker. All right? When I click on that, this is a tracking report. If you've seen it before, you'll see it's considerably enhanced. When you click on an email, what we're seeing here is who sent it? Well, me, of course, right? Who was it to? Subject, when was it sent? When was it read? If it was read again, what is the recent on that? And down here, the IP address. Sometimes emails show multiple read counts. You'll notice this one was read 2 times, and you'll notice 2 different IP addresses. Maybe this email got forwarded, or maybe this person opened it both on their computer and on their phone. Email tracking as a science is, it's hard to pin down, right? There's a lot of elusiveness to it. We haven't reached a point yet where we can tell you exactly this was the computer in the person's bedroom as opposed to the computer in their home office, but we are able to share IP address information along with, again, the read count. So it's easier to get to the tracking. It's easier to get to the reporting, right? And like we said before, it's very simple. You just click an icon to enable email tracking, and this will let you, when you send someone an email, it'll let you track to see if that email was opened, right? Email tracking. Let's move a little further up the scale. You'll recall when you send an email, you have the ability to create a follow-up. And let's go into the email recording box for a minute, just for people that don't remember exactly where that is. I'll have you know that recording emails and all the stuff in the recording box is my favorite stuff to talk about. But again, we gotta fit everything in. So if I'm sending Fred an email and I'm going to record it, you'll recall that you can go over to the follow-up tab and you can create a follow-up for yourself, right? You could pick any day, you could pick any month, you can put some notes in here. And the rule of thumb was always, you're sending an email, the email gets recorded into Salesforce, and your follow-up gets recorded into Salesforce. So what we've added in is this line right here. Let me call some attention to it. Assigned to. Maybe you're a team leader, or maybe you're sending someone an email and you know that you're leaving tomorrow for vacation and you'll be gone for a week. Well, in your email, instead of saying to this person, here's your super important stuff, I'm going to call you on Thursday to go over it. Maybe instead you're going to say, here's your super important stuff, I'm going to have my colleague Tom call you on Thursday, right? What I'm doing is I'm creating a follow-up, but I'm assigning it to somebody else. When the email gets recorded, it'll show up in Salesforce under activity history as always. It'll show that you recorded it as always, but the task itself, the follow-up, will show up on your colleague's to-do list assigned to him. This is a lot better than creating a follow-up for yourself, going back into Salesforce afterwards and editing it. Now instead, you could do it right here on the fly. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to check with your coworkers first and make sure it's okay to assign tasks to them, unless you're the guy in charge, and then you can do it all day long. But we do give you that ability. So not just create a follow-up, but assign that follow-up to somebody else. Okay, line number 5. This is the use of calendar syncing, and let's just get to a clean space on the calendar. Nothing happening this Saturday, right? Hold on, I want to make this a little neater. There you go. So you'll recall that not only can I create an item in my calendar and then sync it over into my Salesforce, but we've always given you the ability to relate that calendar item to a contact or to an opportunity. Why would you do that? A lot of times it has to do with reporting and the way that you use Salesforce. Here's an example I like to use. You're having lunch with Dylan. When you go back and you do your reporting, how many lunches or how many meetings did you have in August is one report, right? How many meetings did you have with Dylan? That's a different report. How many meetings does it take to close a deal? That's a different report. So we've always given you this ability, what we call relate the item, relate the calendar item to a contact or to an opportunity. So not only, I'm just going to type search in here real quick because I didn't put in an email address. What I did do is put in a typo. I use these webinars to show people I'm human. And I probably also picked a name that I didn't double check first to make sure it was in my system. There you are. Okay. So not only can I relate this item, what will it look like? It'll show up right here. I've related the item to Dylan's contact record, and it'll show up on his record as an open activity. But what you might have noticed if you're glancing ahead is a little farther to the right, We've enhanced it. We've put some drop-down boxes in here. People have been saying when I sync a calendar item, I want to be able to specify what kind of item is it, what kind of meeting, what kind of call is it. And maybe this red line is indicating this is a mandatory field. You're familiar with that in Salesforce. Maybe there's a particular mandatory field on this calendar item that you need populated also. So these fields will sync over. You're not only tying the calendar item back to a contact or to an opportunity, but there's other variable fields. The tool will default to type and to mandatory fields, right? You'll get that automatically. If you have custom fields that you need addressed as well, we can further customize the tool for you to add in additional fields. And there are variables, so I can't tell you right here the second, how long does it take, how much would it cost? But get in touch with your rep, maybe that's me. I will take your specifics and talk to the engineering team and see about building in additional fields. But I thought you'd be pleased to know that at least out of the box, there will be some stock fields, and to make your ability when you sync your calendar items a little bit more thorough, right? Better information when you do your reporting. All right. And now, the main event. Just go back into my email for a second. So with all these icons in the side panel, and we can change the size of them, and you'll recall they do different things, but we added in an icon that looks like a little pencil. And here, let me highlight that for you, right? And when I look, let's say, at an opportunity, it's there. If I look at a case, it's there. So this is the super exciting main event. The pencil gives you the ability to add or update Salesforce information without leaving Outlook. All right? In the past, the way things worked is you would use one of the shortcut buttons to get to an object. And when you're in Salesforce, when you're in the browser, you can make your changes. Well, now you don't have to go back into Salesforce. So I'm looking at, let's go over to an opportunity, just as an example, right? So here's an opportunity, and what's the status? The status says closed. Okay, I'm going to click on the pencil, and it's opening. This is what we refer to as smart forms, right? It's pretty smart because it's allowing you the ability to change different fields in this example. I'm going to update this opportunity without going back into Salesforce. And what I really wanted to show, and I didn't realize how long the line was, the stage right here, license agreement, let me highlight. License agreement is what I'm seeing in the opportunity. License agreement is what's showing up in my example. I'm going to change the stage. Let's mark it as lost. Nobody likes to lose, but I'll take a hit for the team. And can you see now when I'm going to highlight it again, it changes immediately. Use of smart forms happens that moment in Salesforce. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. You don't have to wait for some sort of update. You make the changes to your data in the smart form. We'll change it immediately. Here's some fields. You can make your changes. You can also add brand new information. You'll notice in the upper right corner of the box of the side panel, there's a pencil for creating new. Now this list looks a little overwhelming, and that's because as a LinkPoint employee, they test everything out on me and Jill. So your list would be probably considerably smaller, but if you want to create a brand new, whatever it is, right, brand new opportunity, in the past, you'd have to click the shortcut to go into Salesforce and create your opportunity. Well, instead, let's just click on the smart form and create the information right here in the box. Right? This pencil, this ability to create something new, will also show up in your email recording box. I'm in the upper right corner of the email recording box. Right? Let's say I'm getting ready to record this email, and I realize that the opportunity I want to record it to hasn't been created yet. Oops. The rule of thumb is the only way you can record an email is if there's something there to record it to. So in the past, you'd have to close the box and go create the opportunity and then come back. Well, now, mid-box, we can click on the icon and create a new what have you. It'll save automatically into Salesforce. and then you'll be able to record something to it. So that pencil shows up in a lot of places. There's a lot of times where you're doing a LinkPoint activity and you realize, oh, I need to create something new. Or again, in the side panel, update something. Again, when it comes to creating objects, let's say creating an opportunity, you'll start with standard Salesforce fields and mandatory fields. LinkPoint will know which are your mandatory fields. We'll show them as well. If you need more fields than what's being shown in the original, the out-of-the-box version of this upgrade, you can talk with someone here about customizing the tool further. Same thing with the creating of custom objects. You'll notice, when you go to create something new, there'll be a list of stock objects. If you need the ability to create a custom object that already exists in your system, we can further flesh out what we call smart forms to include the customization that you plan to do or build or create or what have you. That's really super exciting. They're all very exciting, but the ability to add and update information in the side panel, instead of leaving Outlook and going into Salesforce to do it, should be able to save you a whole lot of time, especially with something so simple as let's just change a stage, let's just change a field, right? A whole lot of time saved because you're staying in Outlook. So those are the 6 things that we've added to the spring release. The side panel, ability to collapse, reopen, and change icon size. The email indicator, was this an inbound or an outgoing email when I record it back into Salesforce? The update to the tracker, the reporting, is more thorough and easier to find. Follow-up task assignment. So when I create a follow-up while I'm recording an email, I can assign it to somebody else. The enhancement to the calendar sync, in that we've added in fields that will sync over with your calendar item. And smart forms, the ability to add and update Salesforce information without leaving Outlook. If I can answer any questions for you while you're here, it'd be my pleasure. We will be emailing our customers with this in writing as well, so you'll have a feel for when you'll see this update and just a reminder of what we talked about today so that you have it kind of bullet pointed for you.
Thank you, Jeff. And I want to just remind everybody that if you have any questions for Jeff or for me, feel free to go ahead and type them into the question section of that GoToWebinar panel. I've been keeping an eye on it. And the first question here from Jennifer is, when will the update be rolled out? And I can speak to that a little bit in that we started the rollout this past Monday, and it's a phased rollout. So we kind of batch our customers up and distribute the rollout in phases. So we have our customer base broken out. We have a schedule of when everyone is going. I believe it may even start with smaller accounts first, but we can clarify. So if you're interested specifically in knowing when you are going to get upgraded, definitely reach out to your account executive. If you don't know who that is, you can email sales@linkpoint360.com and we will connect you with that person. But it should be happening over the next 4 weeks or so. Sometimes we get rolling and it just goes quicker than we expect.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let me add a little something to that, right? We don't have very fancy stuff to give away, but if you've attended this webinar, which you have, and you're as excited as I hoped you would be about this spring update, email sales@linkpoint360, proactively ask for these updates. And I will not only see where you fall in the schedule, but if I can get you to the top of the list, if I can put you in the next batch that's going out, it would absolutely be my pleasure. This way you might not have to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks for them.
There you go. That sounds like a little fun thing. That's a good giveaway. I think everyone.
Right? Something.
I'd be excited about it. I was excited when I got the updates.
Yeah, they are very cool.
Let's see, and I'll repeat that just so everyone knows. If you have questions, comments, concerns, want to get bumped up on that list per Jeff's promise right there, it's sales@linkpoint360.com. We'll take a look here. We have some more questions coming in, which is great. We love chatting with you guys. Next question is, can you create a follow-up task in the side panel without going into the configure window? Which I think he's talking about the record window.
Recording box. Right. So yeah, actually you can. If you're going to record the email anyway, then it makes sense to do it there. I have sometimes gotten an email from somebody that says something along the lines of, Jeff, there's no need to reply to this email, but just make sure tomorrow you fax me the whatever. And that's a bad example because nobody faxes anymore, but you know what I mean, right? So in the side panel, when you see the different tabs here, right? Opportunities, cases, tasks, whatever. When you click on task, so these are the tasks that are in the system, and all the way to the right, there's a green plus sign. Green plus sign means create something new. Now in this example, that's going to open up the browser for you. It's going to let you create your follow-up in Salesforce. But if you do want to create a follow-up without recording an email, that's the way to do it. Use that little green plus sign. And even though it will default to you, if you do want to assign it to somebody else, you can do that before saving it. So again, a lot of times you'll create a follow-up task to the email you're recording because you're following it up. But if you're just looking to create some sort of task or calendar item without recording the email, you can go into the side panel, then click the green plus sign.
And I think another way you can do that too, if I can just kind of tag team this with you, is if you use the Smart Forms pencil, and I know when Jeff clicks his at the top, it's got 9,000 things in it.
Yeah.
We're all testing here. I believe Create Task is one of the default 7 or 8 objects you'll see. So you won't see some of those other ones, but you'll have this as well.
There you go. I was so focused on objects that I didn't think about an actual task or calendar item. So that's an even better answer. Go to your pencil, your smart form, create your follow-up right there, and now you don't have to go into the browser. Thank you, Jill. It's a good hit.
Oh, you're welcome. The next question here, I'm just reading it because it's a little long. So, okay, so I have a very large email signature that has links and disclosures in it. I know I can go in and edit that out, but is there a way to automatically disregard an email signature? So that I don't know. I'll let you speak to that a little bit, but.
Sure. Well, I'll answer the question reverse. If you're talking about, I'm going to be doing drag and drop, I want to create a contact, then those kind of things wouldn't come over anyway. If the question is, when I record this email, how do I not capture those extra lines of the signature? You're correct that the only way to do that is in the editing tab of the tool, right? There isn't a way to say to the tool, hey, when you go to record an email, don't take whatever it is, links, right? And the reason for that is we don't store your data. We're kind of, for lack of a better expression, the tool's doing it mindlessly. We've trained it really well, right? It's just verbatim taking whatever is in this email and bringing it over. So everything goes as long as it's text. If a signature bar has, what would you call this, a JPEG of a signature, right, then that's not going to go. But if it's text, it's going to go. So unfortunately, those links, those amendments, those disclosures, they are going to go unless you go here to the Edit tab and you pull them out that way.
Next question, and we got a little okay and a thank you there, so thank you, Glenn. The next question here is there a downside to tracking all emails? Which is a little philosophical, but I think we can also set it off to set the tool up with different configurations. So do you want to talk about a little more the tracker configuration and how people can maybe opt in versus opt out of tracking?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we haven't yet seen that there is a real lack of performance if you want to track every last email. We haven't seen that it's going to be a multitude of data that's going to somehow impact you negatively. The only drawback that I can think to about tracking all of your emails is, like Jill said, philosophical, the same way the theory about recording your emails. The goal is to be productive and efficient, right? So if you set the tracker to track every email I send, and some of those emails say, thank you, have a good weekend, Charlie, are you ready to leave for lunch? Grandma, I promise I'll be there at 9:30. It's just one more line of data you have to look at when you're looking at the tracking report. Because the tracking report is just taking every email within the last 30 days. It's a rolling 30 days. So every email that you sent, and tracking whether or not it was opened. So that's the only downside. How much time do I want to spend looking at this report to get a feel for what tracked as open? I'm thinking that people that are tracking emails are genuinely interested, did this email get open or not? So they want to pare it down to, did this email that I really care about get opened or not? So performance of the tool, no, there's no downside. Your personal performance and use of the tool, you know, maybe it'll slow you down a little bit because you have more data to look at.
And there are ways, and we can certainly make sure that we send over some more details and information. There's a help article on our website that talks about the different tracker configuration. So you can enable the tool, but set it to not track every email by default. And then we have buttons up in the Outlook ribbon, as Jeff demonstrates. So your second option there, you can actually deselect that second option. And then as you send every email, you can select the track email option on a per email basis if you prefer more of an opt-in versus an opt-out type method. So there is flexibility there, and we can make sure that you get that information. All right, next one, and the questions keep coming. This is about tasks. So what about completing a current task and setting the follow-up task?
Completion of follow-up tasks, so you can do it in recording an email, you can do it here in the smart form, but if you're marking a task as complete, and that's assuming I'm understanding the question correctly, you've completed a task that you've done. What I do personally, let me give an example, see if I have one. Let's go back into Fred's record for a second. Well, and I'll give you the short of it while I'm doing it. So here's a task. And when I'm looking at that task in Salesforce, instead of deleting it because I'm done and then creating a new one, I'll edit it because I'm done, and that's how I'll go about creating my follow-up. I'll give myself a new task with a new follow-up date. The drawback to that is that your activity history changes because you're not showing an activity history, I did X, and then in your open future tasks, showing a new task, you're just undoing a task with new information. So when I do this in my universe, right, I have a task that says call Jill. When I call Jill, I'll go into my activity history and I'll log a call, and then I'll edit the task for whatever my follow-up activity is for reaching out to Jill. But those are things I'm doing directly in Salesforce. There's nowhere in the side panel. Well, hold on. You could edit the task. You're going to have the same principle. You can edit the task, you know, put in a new follow-up and put in a new date, but you're editing an existing record, so it's not going into history as completed. You're just changing today's task to a future task.
That's how I understand it, too. I know we've added some additional inroads with the smart forms to be able to kind of update the existing items. And you can certainly then come out of this and go create a new one using the smart forms icons. But it's more of a process thing, I think, and it may depend on how you want data captured and if you're reporting off of activity history and what management wants, and then it kind of turns into a bigger piece than it really is.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I'm looking into using this app. When you send emails, do you need to hit record to Salesforce each time?
Okay, so it's a little bit out of the realm of just the spring releases, but let me answer that because I like what the answer is, all right? So this is not a tool that will automatically record emails without user interaction. The reason for that is you'll recall in the email recording box, there's a lot of functionality here. Again, we can't really get into it too far right now, but we talked about follow-up and we talked about edit. There's also search. There's also the use of attachments. If you had a tool that just automatically recorded your emails, you wouldn't get the ability to use all of that other functionality, number one, so you couldn't redirect it, you couldn't create a follow-up, you couldn't edit it first, etc. And number two, you would run a risk, again, of filling up your CRM with, thank you, have a good weekend, I'll call you later. So you would either click the button to open the recording box, Or there is something that's called Smart Record, which is what I would call one-click recording, right? This is the email I'm sending to Fred, and I'm just going to click the Smart Send and Record button, and there you go, which means don't open the box, don't open the recording box, don't give me a whole lot of options. Just send my email to Fred and record it to his contact record. That's all. You're going to click a button anyway. You're going to click a send button anyway. So here you're sending a send and record button. But that's a longer way around of saying, yes, you do have to interact with the email, and that's just to make sure that your CRM stays efficient, it's not cluttered with garbage, and that you're getting full use of all the functionality you get with email recording.
Thank you, Jeff. And I think that kind of answered kind of the next question, which was, can you explain the difference between that record to Salesforce versus the smart record? So one gives you the dynamic interface, the other sort of intuitively runs the matches for you and is a little bit, tiny bit quicker, but puts the email in fewer spots.
Exactly right. See, in the future, I knew that question was asked, and that's why I want to answer them both at once.
Which also ties into the next question. Everyone's asking a lot of good recording questions, but just to clarify, make sure we address them all. Can emails be recorded automatically? And so for this instance or this edition of LinkPoint Connect, no, it's not an automatic sync tool. We're looking more to get you matching things intuitively yourself and interacting with those emails.
Exactly, yep.
Okay. And just to kind of tie back again to the task question we were working with before, and talking about how it affects that activity history, the follow-up is, what if you change the status to completed on a task? And here he's mentioning it in a smart forms setup. So if you go to launch and edit a task with a smart form and you set that to a completed status.
Why am I not seeing their status completed? That'll send into activity history. So you are doing a full update of the task. Right here, completed. And then depending on your reporting, you will see that as a completed task.
So again, that's more of a preference, an internal workflow sort of thing. But if you want to do it that way, the fields are there, and it works in real time. So
yeah, and you might find too, and it's not to complicate the issue, but to just add some insight to it, as you're working with LinkPoint, and now you know those smart forms are there, and you start to think about, what are my workflows, what fields do I need, and what fields do I want to change, you might not, the day you get these updates, or the week you're working with the updates, you might not need any kind of customization, right? But you might find over time that now you want to change some of your Salesforce triggers so that you can better work with these fields, or vice versa. You might want LinkPoint to add in more customized fields, because then you can build better workflows and triggers in Salesforce. So I imagine it's the kind of thing where, after you've gotten your hands a little dirty using these smart forms, you might find more ways to use them to better your workflow. And we're always interested to discuss that with you and talk about, how to further enhance the tool, to further enhance your experience.
All right, the next question here, if you could just pop the recording window back open again, Jeff.
Sure.
We're talking about the ability to update a type on an activity field or activity history when you're recording an email. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the pencil in the recording box is for creating a new record of sort. So if you're looking at what's going on here, and again, I hope I'm understanding the question correctly. If you're creating a follow-up and you want to, this is still create something new, again, we can probably add in fields to, what kind of follow-up is this? What do I want to do with it later? That sort of thing. But if you're at the point of recording this email and perhaps creating a follow-up, this pencil, at least out of the box, won't let you edit a different record, because there's a pencil, let me close this for 1 second. There's a pencil for each record, each specific thing. So if the person asking the question can just qualify if I've answered the question correctly, if I'm understanding it correctly.
Dramatic pause here. It looks like that did, and just to kind of piggyback on it, the smart forms will work with custom fields, custom objects, custom types. Out of the box, it doesn't, because you may have 500 of them, and we don't want to junk up your smart forms by just automatically pulling every single custom thing you have in your Salesforce. But the good news is I've actually gotten to test this with some custom fields, and it's pretty simple for our team to go ahead in and just enable for either you or your entire license key, so every user on your account could also have the same config if that's what you want. So in some cases we are able, and I don't know, Jeff, I might be wrong. You might have that enabled on your meeting on a calendar. You might see type. I don't remember if that's where I saw it, but
yeah, that was one of the
examples. We have the ability to pull that. So if it's something that you're interested in, it's pretty easy for us to pull up. So you can see he's pulling. That's a custom section, that third side of that reference selection, and we can pull similar things over to the record window for email recording if that's the route you want to take. Here we're showing this just because we're sort of in a demo test org. The next question switches gears, and I might speak a little bit about this one. I'm stealing the show from Jeff. Is there a future release to automatically record emails? Which is a great question. And the way that we're approaching this, because we get two sides of this. We get folks who want absolute control over where their emails are recorded to. They want nothing automated. I want to see everything and map everything. And then we have another team of folks who say, I don't want to have to think about this. I want something intuitive that will just grab my emails, find matches, do it for me, and leave me be so I can do my actual job. LinkPoint Connect Desktop Edition, which is what Jeff and I have been talking about for the spring release, is not the automatic component, right? So all those record windows and the matching that Jeff's shown you guys, that's Desktop Edition. What we do have in development, and we're in beta right now, is a Cloud Edition version with automated sync tools that includes email. So that is something on our roadmap. It's something that I've actually gotten to play quite a bit with in the last couple of weeks. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to see more of, definitely reach out to your account executive. We can talk a little bit more about whether getting you a little more insight into that, learning more about what you're trying to achieve with that automatic syncing. And if you don't know who your account executive is, again, email sales@linkpoint360.com, and we will figure it out and get you someone who can get you some more information. We'll just give everyone a second and see if there are any more questions. I think we've addressed everything that had come in thus far. Just want to make sure there's no stragglers. And it doesn't look like it. So what we can go ahead and do is wrap up today's webinar. Jeff, thank you so much for presenting today. I appreciate it as always.
Always my pleasure. Thank you, and thanks everybody for your time.
And I'm going to go ahead and, as everyone signs off, I just want to remember, because I know I keep repeating it, definitely reach out to your account executive, and if you don't know who that is, contact sales@linkpoint360.com. We also have a lot of resources. I know today's webinar was focusing on our spring release and some of the new features, but we got a lot of great questions about the general functionality of the tool. So check out our online knowledge base. You can search by topic. You can search by article type. We have quick tips. We have videos. We have FAQs. We also have another webinar on June 7th, and that's our full Introducing LinkPoint Connect for Salesforce webinar. So if you want to see a longer form, soup to nuts version walkthrough of everything we do with the side panel, with recording, and a little bit of syncing, definitely check out the website and sign up for that. I think it's really helpful whether you're new to LinkPoint or you've been using it for a while but need to knock the dust off or want your team to get trained. It's just a great way to sort of level set, and we'll be including all of the new spring release features in that webinar because, again, that's going to be coming to everybody over the next couple of weeks. So definitely make sure you check that out. Technical questions, as always, our support team is standing by, email, chat, and phone if you need anything of a technical sort. And I want to thank everyone again for joining us today. It was great to speak with everyone, to field your questions. We're really excited about the spring release. We hope you will join us next time.